Where the doc which you sent today?
A biur of the Alter Rebbe regarding the discussion between the Moshe Rabbeinu and the Malachim regarding receiving the Torah. There's the famous Gemara where Moshe Rabbeinu comes to Shemayim and wants to receive the Torah, and the Malachim say, Tzno hitchal ha-Shemayim, and Moshe Rabbeinu responds, Klum yitzahari yesh b'neichem, Klum l'mitzrayim yiraditem, and that argument, and of course, that's why we received the Torah. However, there is one medrash that says the story says this word differently. It says it regarding the second luchos, when Moshe Rabbeinu went up to receive the luchos, and at that point he had a discussion with the malachim who should get the Torah, and they argued about it regarding not about the general thing of Yitzhar B'nechem, but specifically about Basar B'chalav. And this will lead us to a new understanding in the minig of Achilas Machalei Chalav on Chag HaShavuos. So let us begin with the lashon of this Medrash Rabbah. Okay, so we have over here the Medrash Rabbah. It's not Medrash Rabbah, sorry, it's a Medrash Tilim. Okay, we'll take questions in a moment. Let me just get this Medrash Rabbah up here. Shmuel, did you want to ask something?
Yeah. So the thing which you told us that we should learn over Shavuos is the doc which you sent last night.
Yes. Okay. So follow with me here. The Medrash Rabbah, Medrash Tilim. Sorry, Mizmor Ches. Kisha'ala Moshe lekabla pam shniya. When Moshe went the second time to receive the luchos, Amru Malachi Asharis Debeinu Shaleilam V'alei Esmail Avru Aleh. This was happening after the Chet HaEgel, and just earlier, a couple of days earlier, the Yidden did the Chet HaEgel. Sheksafte Ba Lo Yeh Lecha Lekim Achedim. Amar Lam HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'chol Yoyim Hayisem kategorin benil vein Yisrael. You're always making problems between me and the Yidden. Loy atem kishiradtem etzel Avraham achaltem basar b'chalav. Is it not you, malachim, that actually ate basar b'chalav when you went to Avraham? Shenemar vayika chema v'chalav. He served them butter and milk, uben abakar, and a young sheep, a young cattle. Right? They ate it. They ate milchiks and fleishiks zusammen. The tinak shalahem, however, when you go to a yid, kishahu bami beis rabbi, if he comes home from yeshiva, he comes home from cheder, the imay noisenes leipas ubasar ugvina lechol. If the mother would serve him bread with flesh unkez, flesh and cheese, lechol to eat, he will right away tell his mother, "Now Yoyim Lamdeni Rabbi, my teacher taught me." So you, Malachim, are trying to make a kitru, not to allow Torah to be given to the Yidden. Was letzte? What are you talking about? You people, you Malachim, allein haben ewig werden after Torah. Whereas a Yiddish kind, if he's being served milk and meat, he right away tells his mother, "Nishtaz hazach." Loi motzu loi meine. The malachim were stumped. They couldn't answer. But Oisei Shah Amakadosh Baruch Hu LaMoshe. The Eibusher told Moshe, "Ben Shnel, ksev lechaz hadvarim elu. Shaivar apaseres hadibreis are the second set of luches. Ad she'ein lehem maino tshuva." Until they have an answer and try to get their act together to respond, chaparain, and write the second luches. So here, Nachmo, we have an Amaisa, but at Ketzrafin, before the second set of luchas were given, the Malachim wanted to keep it Lamaila, and the Eibishter said the Malachim were over and Basar B'chalav. So, before we go into understanding what Moshe Rabbeinu is, or the Eibishter is saying over here to defend the Yidden, first analyze Taka, this story that happened in Parshas Vayera about the Malachim eating milchiks and fleishiks zusammen. I'll read you quote number 2, and we'll see that there's a oiben ufik shail over here. The Gemara says in Yuma Amarav Kiyem Avraham Avinu Kol Atayra Kula Shenemar Ekev Asher Shama Avraham Bekoili Vayishma Mishmarti Mitzvayse Chukoyse V'Saroysai. And we learned if you look at the whole Gemara, it talks about Avraham Avinu Galaran Torah, Zakim Yeshiv Yeshiva, like we learned in last year. And then it goes on that he was Makayim mitzvahs, and not just Teresh B'Chsav mitzvahs, but Teresh B'Al Peh, that says mitzvahs that Rabbanon. Avraham was Makayim everything. So obviously Avraham had a kosher kitchen. He had a kosher kich, which means that fleishik and milchiks have to be separate. Vi kumtes that here he's serving the malachim milchiks mit fleishik zusammen. You hear the voice of the shaila. A person like Avraham Avinu, that he has a kosher kich, a kosher kitchen, why is he serving them milchiks and fleishiks? Everybody says, does anybody have an answer for this question? What does it mean that Avraham Avinu served them milchiks and fleishiks?
What was the question?
What? The question is, how could it be that we find a pasuk that Avraham Avinu was serving the malachim milchiks and fleishiks zusammen?
He waited an hour.
Oh, so Daniel, was that you, Daniel?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one answer that you can say. That it doesn't say in the pasuk, he put that in one bowl and they ate it zusammen. No, Avraham Avinu had a kosher kich.
He thought were goyim, so it wouldn't really make a difference.
Hold on. What he did was he served them milchiks, waited an hour, and had fleishiks. That's one answer, Daniel. Mendelssohn is giving a second answer that the malachim were. One second, I want to just go to what Mendelssohn answered. That he thought they were goyim. So Zolzain Azoi, Zolzi Yasim is a villain. He put the food out and they took what they wanted. Zolzain Gemish.
Wasn't everyone goyim?
What?
Everyone was goyim.
Okay, so that would be a continuation to what Mendelssohn is saying. Not just that he thought the malachim were goyim, but Bachlal, he maybe was careful for himself to keep kosher, but if it came to other people, he did not impose upon them the laws of kashrus. It wasn't an
the Isser B'Chalav.
What?
The Isser B'Chalav also applies to cooking it.
It doesn't say in the pasuk that he cooked them. He just said he gave it to them, right? So we don't know that he actually cooked it together. So he may have served them, and they are not obligated if they're goyim. They're not obligated to take upon themselves the laws of kashrus. So even though Avraham did in his personal life, perhaps he wasn't makbi when it comes to other people. That's the reasonable answer. Okay, so that's a combination for Rabbi Mendelssohn is saying that he assumed that the malachim were arviyim, and what Yecheskel is saying that all people at the time were bnei noach and did not have a problem with this. So I think we have so far two answers. Anyone else have a possible other answer?
I would say I thought we said you're not allowed to have more than you're not allowed to have fleishiks and milchiks in the same meal, no matter if it's hour or not.
Well, that is correct what you're saying. You're not allowed to have the same meal. I'm not sure if the pasuk is written in a way that you have to conclude that it was within one meal. It says that he brought before them these foods, and they ate it. Doesn't say exactly the details. So the answers that Rachim you just said are found in the Mefarshim. Let's go through some of them, and we're going to see if this really resolves and explains the Medrash in Gansen. So we have over here Shiddim Ukubetzes and B'chayres.
Question on the Medrash again?
The Medrash?
Yeah.
The Medrash is just saying this, that Hashem tells the Malachim that Sheiraditem Eitzel Avraham Achaltem Basar B'chalav. Shenema V'ika Chemo B'chalav V'nabaka V'yichelu. Right?
Yeah.
So all it says that he served them milk and meat, and they ate it. And our question is, Avraham had a kosher kich, he had a kosher kitchen. what's going on with serving both together. And the Bochum very well answered various answers, as we'll see some of them in the Mefarshim here. So I'm going to show you how they are in the Mefarshim. The answer that Yecheskel said is in quote number 3, Shita Mukubetzis and B'chayres, and he writes over there, regarding what Avraham did over here, Hayasavar Shehem B'nei Noach, V'leinitztavu al kach, ki ein zeh mishava mitzvah shkiblu aleihem. So Avraham Avinu had no problem with serving them foods, assuming that they're B'nei Noach, they're not mechuyev. It's not part of Sheva mitzvahs. Avraham Avinu in his own life, in his personal life, he was machmir and he was mahadir and he was doing everything that's eventually going to be nistave to Bnei Yisrael. Well, that's not an obligation. He can't force that upon other people. In fact, there's a Gavaldik Asicha of the Rebbe in Chelik Zayin in the fact that Yaakov married 2 sisters, Rachel and Leah, and Yeshua also Zilpah and Bilhah and Zilpah. And the question is, Yaakov was Mekayim the whole Torah, how can he marry 2 sisters? And the Rebbe's answer over there is that you cannot be machmir on someone else's expense. Yaakov wants to be Mekayim Kol Torah Kula al Hidur. That's a chumrah. It's a beautiful thing to do. But in the case of Yaakov, that would be on the expense of Rachel, and right, because he married Leah, now he already promised Rachel, and going back on his promise would be wrong. But mainly, he has to push away the chumrah and keep to the basics of Mitzvah Bnei Noach to keep your word. So you can't be machmir. You cannot take on a chumrah for other people, which cause for other people. So perhaps the same word over here, Avraham is Mekayim Kol Torah Kula, but not for other people. That's the answer that you said correctly. You see in the Shittim Mukubetzis. Let us go. The problem with that is, but the malachim themselves, did they actually eat basar b'chalav? So Avraham thought they were bnei Noach, but they were really malachim. Would it be correct to say that malachim were not Mekayim what the Torah says, that you have to keep meat and milk separate? So for that we have what Rashi says on the pasuk, Nira k'may shachlu, kas v'shom, to say that a malach zol esen treif, a malach zol tana zach hepech haTorah, elamai nira k'may shachlu. So Avraham did it because he thought they were goyim, bnei Noach. The malachim didn't actually do the akhila, the aveda. It explains to us what the story that happened in Parshas Vayera. Our problem with this answer is going to be that if that's the case, let's go back to our medrash. Our medrash is saying that the Eibishter had a taina to the malachim and said, when you, Chevre, went down to Avraham, you ate basar b'chalav. We're going to name on the pshat of the Shittim Mukubetzis. That Hayasavar Shem B'nei Noach was the taina. What's the taina? Right? The fact that Avraham served in basar b'chalav is not a problem. And they themselves, Nidu K'may Sha'achlu B'Rashi Zok. So there's no taina. They were people, malachim, that were maybe very careful not to have milchiks and fleishiks zusammen. Never that. They never did such a thing. They never ate it together. What it says by Avraham was only Nidu K'may Sha'achlu. So Rabbi, so you hear what what we're asking here? What we're saying is that if we're going to name it like Rashi says, that the malachim didn't actually eat basar b'chalav, then we're going to be stuck. What's the time that the Eibishter had to them? They didn't actually transgress and eat basar b'chalav. Shmulik, what's the question?
I didn't really get that. Can you repeat what you said again? Like the question,
if we were to accept that there was nothing wrong in the story by Avraham and the malachim, because Avraham was keeping kosher for himself and not for others. The malachim didn't actually eat the flesh and milk together. They were only nidu k'may sha'achlu. It appeared that way, but it wasn't for real. If it wasn't for real, then why is the Eibishter telling them, you malachim failed to keep the Torah, and the Yidden are successful in keeping the Torah? What's the source that the malachim failed? They didn't fail. They made a good show.
But it was considered as if they failed because
why? If it looks like that way, is that considered a failure? If someone has almond milk right? Almond milk, and he has it together during a fleishik meal. Is he a failure in regards to keeping the dinim of basar b'chalav? Okay, there's like a concept of marasayim, but that's not the basics of basar b'chalav, right?
But
it's not a problem. It looks that way. Just because it appears that way, it's not a problem. Huh?
Of course it's a problem. It's marasayim.
Good, but that's not an issue of basar b'chalav. You're doing an issue of, it's a problem, it's not marasayim, but inside the eating of basar b'chalav, it's not basar b'chalav. And in this case, the b'chalav didn't even swallow it. It appeared that way.
But why did Hashem say that why did Hashem say that they failed Torah even before they got the Torah?
No, we're talking about the malachim. The Eibusher is discussing with them who deserves to have it more, the Yidden or the malachim. And the Eibusher is telling them, malachim, you people failed. You not people. You angels have failed in this area. And it's being a story from Avraham. And according to our first explanation, what actually happened by Avraham, there seems to be nothing, so to speak, wrong in what the malachim did. Let us move on to another answer. Nobody said this answer, but I didn't expect you to. But the Malbim says, "Shahaya basar shenivra aydei sepa yitzira she'en lo din basar." There is a Gemara that talks about that Amidoyim put together animal, a behema, aydei sepa yitzira, like Maral made the goylem. So the Amidoyim, the Tanoim, Tzadikim can create an animal out of sepa yitzira, and there's various remazim in the psukim of the story of Avraham Avinu that basar wasn't natural basar. It was what they call today. What's it called? Chavra, fill me in. What's the meat that you have
artificial
today? What's it called? Artificial meat, right? That, according to the Malbim, does not have a din of basar, right? I know there's a big discussion amongst the Rabbanim how to deal with the artificial meat in terms of keeping kashrus, of separating meat and milk. How does it work? What are the requirements? But let's take the story of Avraham Avinu. Says the Malbim, it wasn't a problem. There's a remez in the pasuk that tells us that meat that he served the malachim was not natural meat. It was created by sepa yitzira. Fine. So that explains that not only did Avraham not do anything wrong. Hold on. Not only did Avraham Avinu not serve them meat and milk, because he served them kosher part of the meat. Even if the malachim actually ate it, it's not a problem. It was artificial meat, and it's not a problem. Basar b'chalav. Yeah.
And does he learn that from like the pashtos and chumash in the Torah?
Okay, it's not the pashtos, right? But there's certain Muslims.
I don't think there's anywhere else where we say basar in the Torah that it means artificial meat.
I agree with you. I'm not going to disagree. I'm just presenting you a shot of the Malbim. There's different Muslims that lead to this. Hold on. Muslims that lead them to say this. But Akopanim, this is one of the answers. How could it be that he served them meat and milk? It wasn't real meat. Someone else had something here?
Yeah, the small retails.
Yeah, so either whatever meat was actually served to them, the poil, it said that he couldn't. The animal ran away. It wasn't the actual meat that he was trying to get. I'll call upon him. I don't want to be mad at this, but it's either. Hold on a second. It's really not going to work for our medrash anyways. Why? Because if that's the case, we come back to our same question we asked on the previous answer. If it wasn't real meat, so what's the image just tied into the malachim? I had artificial meat. What's the problem? The malachim had artificial meat. How is that a taina to them? You don't deserve to have the taina because you failed to keep the din of basar b'chalav. What's failure? It's artificial meat. So the same question we had on the first answer, which was using the svar of Rashi, that nidu k'meisha achlu, would it be a problem over here as well? If they didn't really eat basar b'chalav, the isra basar b'chalav, then what's the imish's taina? Yisrael, you had some good question there?
Yes, according to this, these days you could have artificial meat and have cheese with it. There's no issue at all with Marsayan?
Yeah, the pashtus is that if it's artificial meat, there's no isra of basar b'chalav. the reason why we wouldn't advise to eat it with milk, with cheese, is because of the consequences that it could bring in keeping kashrus in general. But be'etzem, you can't say there's isser. Maisa, it's not an isser. Again, I'm not a answer outside of and a poisik. I'm just telling you, the pashtus, there's no isser over here. Okay, so we have two answers. A third answer is actually brought down in the Ha'ara, in the Kutas Sichas, over here, number 5. The Rebbe brings down in a Sicha 2 possible answers. And each one of them is like one Bacher mentioned here. Sha'achlu b'zacher zeh. Right? I think that was Daniel. You answered that. That he served them milchiks and then fleishiks. Right? Like you said, they may have waited an hour in between. Like you saw David pointed out, they probably had to bench in between if they had bread in the first meal. Either way, you can't have them the same meal. You have to bench and make a bracha achroina, and then have the fleishiks. And I want to point out, which we'll talk about it soon, that in halacha, after milchiks, there's no requirement of waiting an hour. The fact that we wait an hour has brought down from Sfarim that there's an Indian to wait an hour. We'll see it soon inside. But according to the dry halacha, the Shulchan Aruch, as long as you rinse out your mouth, you wash your hands, you can eat fleishiks right afterwards. So the malachim sat down to a meal. They had yogurt, they had cheese, so they had butter and milk, and they made a bracha achreina, and they went on to eat fleishiks. Nishkin problem. A second answer that Rebbe gives, this is a gewaldik einfall in Achnos Sorchim. There were 3 malachim. What this malach ate, the other malach didn't eat. What does this mean? Avraham Avinu was a machnis oirach, the highest level. He prepared for them a few menus. What do you want? You want to have a milchike meal, hastada tish mit puter und milch, also sedars for milchiks. There was another table with fleishiks. And he told the malachim, you can choose. You can choose a milchike meal, a gezaftike, geschmacke, milchike, seuda. And if you want fleishiks, I have over here 3 tongues. If all of you choose fleishiks, there's enough for all of you fleishiks. There's 3 tongues, geschmacke fleisch. Each one of them can have just a fleishik meal. If you don't want the fleishiks, each one of you can choose milchiks. If one of you wants milchiks, the other one wants fleishiks, you can choose whatever you want. So although he gave 3 tongues, which means that he prepared a full fleishik suda for each malach, and he also gave butter, maybe they're all going to choose fleishiks. So he made 3 portions of fleishiks. Maybe they're going to have milchiks. He made sure there should be milchiks available. So he did not in any way tell them to eat both together. And the malachim didn't necessarily eat them all together. They had the options. They ate from what Avraham Avinu served. The brilliance of chapping on such a kind of achnosas orchim is beautiful, right? Avraham Avinu was a zamin machnas oirach. Weiter, Rabbi, so the same question we're going to have is with this answer. If indeed the malachim didn't do anything wrong, they waited or they washed their hands and mouths between the milchiks and the fleishiks. Or they b'chlal didn't eat both. They chose which one they wanted, which menu, which table they want to take from, but they did not eat that together. So what's the Eibush this time? What's the Eibush this time? So this is Rabbi Sai, 3 answers, 3 ways of understanding the story of Parshas Vayera. If it was like we said, created by Yosef Yitzira, artificial, or it was Nidu K'may Shachlu, they made a good show and it appeared that way, or they ate it one after another. However you want to explain the story, it seems to be that they didn't actually have the Isra Basar B'Chalav. And if that's the case, what's the Eibish's time to them? Okay, so this is part 1 of this year. That's the head of the Shiloh that we have. All these Mefarshim are all for the Malachim did not do a Isra Basar B'Chalav. If there was no Isra, what's the Eibish's time to them? So, Chavre, what we're going to do in the next 45 minutes, we will examine the Isser, the Tam Ha'Isser Basar B'Chalav, Haimi HaMitzvahs, which goes a little bit into Primus HaTorah. What is the Isser Basar B'Chalav of Primus HaInyanim? And this will lead us to two explanations in the Medrash. One more simple that comes from Tzemach Tzedek, and we'll quote it from the Rebbe Marash, that brings it down. More of a easier way to understand this discussion. And then we'll bring a word that was printed in the name of the Alter Rebbe in one of the, I think it was Kerem Chabad, we'll see soon, that was printed once. A word that the Alter Rebbe said, a tifa word, but it gives a whole new cook on Matan Torah. Okay, so let us begin with analyzing the background, the Tam HaMitzvah of Isser Basar B'Chalav, and that will help us understand the story here. On the one hand, Avraham kept Kol HaTorah Kuli, had a kosher kitchen, and definitely served the malachim kosher food. And at the same time, the Eibishter says you failed. So Avraham didn't do anything wrong. The malachim didn't do anything wrong, but Hashem could still have a taina to them. What's going on? Let's start with the reason for the mitzvah of Basar B'Chalav. So let's start with the Shalah. The Shalah writes like this: Tam Basar B'Chalav. Kasav Arikanti, from the earlier those that wrote Time and Mitzvahs, and from the earlier Mukubalim, he writes Shuhu B'Soid Kilayim Shema'ariv Koiches Al-Yenim. The same Isser that there is in Kilayim, mixing grapes with grain, is an Isser of Kilayim. Mixing wool and linen is Kilayim, is Shatnez. The Zelmazach is Basar B'Chalav. You're mixing what he calls here Koiches El-Yonim. What Basar represents, Ken Zichnish Mission, it cannot mix with what Chalav represents. The Madregas that they have within them, that they represent, are opposites and they can't be mixed together. Kakavana, Ki HaBasar Shu Odaim, meat is red, it's a symbol, it stems from, it's connected to the Indian of Din. V'ha'chalav, which is white and clean, represents the Indian of Rachamim. And the Mekanish Mission. These are two powerful opposite koiches, and you can't mix them together. Because this is their ruchniistic powers, this is their ruchniistic in Yadim, Mekanish Mission. And that's why, Begashmish, you can't mix them. That's the tam of the mitzvah written by the Shalom. However, now that we know that the Basar is din and Chalav is Racham, they can't mix, the question is, why not? Why can't they get along? Don't we speak about Avos Yisrael? What about Achdus Yisrael? You got to get along. Why can't they get along? Why is it a problem to mix them together? So let's see the Rebbe in the Sikha here. The Rebbe brings us down in a Sikha in Chel Chavtes and says like this: Men gefind as a chibur von shnei afochim is adraba amalachi neflo in the Nashalim. Combining and putting together two opposites is a gewaltige Sach. It's Shalom. Und da sagt man, as the Isser von Kilayim besteht in dem, was means ma'arbev de midas chassid gvura, and yet we're saying that you cannot do Kilayim. You cannot mix Basar and Chalav. Why? Because one is chassid, what's the gvura? L'chein afaket, l'cha gewaltige Sach. Mach Shalom. Bring the two opposite forces together. So the Rebbe answers in that same Sikha, number 8 over here. B'shas min is machaber u'ma'arvev zusammen zwei dvarim hafchim. Zayin dot zwei efshariyasin. Ba'oivim for teitzoyis hafachiyis. When you take two things and put them together, you can have two possible outcomes. Aleph means mevatel zeyer siyurim hafchim b'soisrim v'etzvis zeh shalim. If they are able to get along, then what happens is each one will adjust itself to match up with the other one. Their opposite aspects will be bottled, will leave, will be cancelled, will be hidden, and therefore they can become at peace with each other. But the other option that may happen is when they get along, they're not ready to buckle down. Everyone says, I'm not changing. I'm not giving up any of my standards, whatever it is. Even if they're in close proximity to each other, they're right near each other. If each one says, I'm not changing, it makes an explosion. You can try out some science experiments. Certain things that get together, certain liquids, if you put them together, they're not going to be a match. They're going to make an explosion because each one is powerful on its own and does not get along together with the other one. Right? That's not a kind of shalom that can work. Being together but opposites and not being mevatel yourself won't work. So the question is, when we come to basar b'chalav, if the Torah said it is asur, what kind of combination could it be created when basar b'chalav come together? A peaceful one that will have bittul or not? So from the fact that the Torah said it's asur, we know that apparently the power of gvura that basar possesses is so strong and so firm and so extreme that it cannot get along with chalav, because the chalav, chesed and rachman that chalav represents, that chalav possesses, is equally as strong, and they're not ready to get down to join together. No one's ready to be mevatel to each other. It's such a powerful gvura, such a powerful chesed that they oppose each other completely, and therefore shalom is not possible. Shalom is only possible when you have people, and you have that people are soft, they're ready to negotiate, to give in, to give and take, and so on and so forth. But if you're kosher ke'eres, and you're tough and you understand, you're not ready to buckle down, can zayin shalom. So the Isra of basar b'chalav represents what? An extremist of gvura and an extremist in rachamim, and they can't get along. So that's what Rabbi say is the tam ha-mitzvah. The tam ha-isra of basar b'chalav. Basar is gvura, chalav is chesed, but not stam. They're extremists. And even that they can't be b'shalom with each other. Now that we know that, let us continue over here and try to see how this could answer our medrash. And this we'll see from the Rebbe Marash, but it's originally from the Tzemach Tzedek. Actually, the Tzemach Tzedek bases it on Rabbeinu Bachaye in the Pirush of the Psukim. And it says like this. And I want to actually make one more hakdama. It's brought down in Chassidus very often that Malach Gavriel, Malach Michal, they're opposites. One's the Malach of Mayim, one's the Malach of Eish. But then, they're opposites, they can't get along. But Oiseh Shalem b'Mireimav, when they stand in front of the Eibush there, mitzad the very high madrega that's being nisgala to them, they could get along. So what the Tzemach Tzedek and the Rebbe Marash are going to say now is like this. When we're dealing with malachim that are on a higher madrega, over there, basar and chalav will be nisbatel to each other. Chesed and gvura could get along. In Olam Hazeh, where there's not that level of giloi, that's when they're too extreme and will not become batel to each other. Mitzad the gressere giloi can dorten zayin chibur of the two opposites. Al derech you find that Kohen Gadol, part of the big day of the begadim of the Kohenim, had shatnez in it. So even though a regular person can have shatnez, because also it's an of kilayim, of powerful koiches that don't get along, but when you're on a higher madrega of kedusha, dorten, they could get along. It's had the hecherkeit and the greater gilui that causes them to become batel to each other. Says the Rebbe Marash in this maimer. Inyan Isra basar b'chalav, v'hayin lefi shechalav b'chinas chsadim, u'basar b'chinas gvura. So he's quoting this reason that we brought down earlier from the Shalah in the name of the Rikanti. V'chesed u'gvura einam yecholim l'schaber b'yachad. They cannot get along. Okay, nasurim b'yachad. They're asur together. But here comes the twist that I say. Here comes the chap. Ach kol zeh u'lamata. this that basar and chalav can't get along, like the Rebbe explained in the Sikha, because each one's betakfei, is extreme and is not ready to become batul. That's lamato. Mashen kein lamayla b'malachim ein yasser klal lefi shesham yechelim lischaber. Malachim on a higher madrega. Over there, mitzad the great gilui of madrega shalamayla mishneihem. Madrega is above whatever gvura is, above whatever rachmim is. So that allows them to buckle down and get along. And like the first life in the Sikha says, that it could be, that shalom could be created when you're mevatel the tziyurim havchiyim, versus they shalom. B'shasi the hair, that there's something that's beyond their metzias, fana ha'eimish says nochecher, right? And their differences are not so important. All it counts is they were created by one eimish avaya echad. So when that's shining strong, then their differences disappear. They can get along. That's only lamayla. Lamata, that's not relevant, not revealed. Again, weiter der Marashin continues. And again, he's repeating from the Tzemach Tzedek. V'zeu shenotzen lehem Avraham basar b'chalav. So the Tzemach Tzedek, the Ramarash is saying, Hanaf b'sheyoda sheheim malachim. In this medrash that talks about the malachim eating basar b'chalav, nemta that he knew they were malachim. Ve'ein lohem b'basar b'chalav yisur klal. Al kei nosan lohem. Avraham Avinu was aware they were malachim. And therefore said, malachim, you guys could eat basar b'chalav together. You could have it. You have the power to be mevatel two opposite keiches. You have gili alakus, and even that the extremists of the tziyurim of basar and chalav are not going to stand strong. They could become batel because they dead head. The madrega shalamayla mizeh. Umizeh hatam ochlu amalachim as basar b'chalav v'shalahem ein ze isser klal. What are we saying here, Rabbi Say? This pshat is a new pshat, not what the Mefarshim said. This pshat is saying they take a basar b'chalav meat. It was mixed together, like Daniel said. They cooked it together and they ate it together and b'masachas with no interruptions, without benching in between, without washing their hands, garnished. They ate, like you say, a zafnike cheeseburger. Yeah, but it wasn't a problem. Why wasn't it a problem? Because why are Yidden, B'nai Yisrael, Lamata told not to do it? Because they can't create a shalom sufficient, the extreme chesed and extreme gvura. But malachim, that their hair, a higher madrega, side the basar, side the cholav, are just extensions of the Eibishter's keiches. Their hair, the Eibishter within them. But mele, the differences are batul. And they can get along. They're all serving the one creator, and that's so much revealed that the differences are disappear. So there's no problem. Now, the same word is repeated in the Ma'ir of the Rebbe Rashab, and he adds nachavart. But before I get to that, let me see the sikum of the Indian in the Rebbe Marash's Ma'ir. Kivan she'ein zelochem isur. The Maimer of the Rebbe Marash is going to the Medrash that we spoke about earlier. Why did the Eibishter tell them, you ate basar b'chalav? He wasn't accusing them of doing a isser. The whole problem we have with the other answers were that on the one hand, Hashem is accusing them for failing in doing an isser, and then the Mefarshim and the Chumash are saying that there was no real issue because Avraham Avinu had a kosher kitchen. So we had this problem. Did they really fail or did they not fail? Zok the Rebbe Marash, that's not what happened. Ein ze lochem iser. The Eibishter was telling the Malachim, I can prove to you that you believe that Torah doesn't apply to you. What's the raya? Because you Malachim ate basar b'chalav, and rightfully so. Because you have the power to combine basar b'chalav. You have the power to combine gvura and chesed. But the Torah says not to do it. If the Torah is talking to people that have a difficulty in combining chesed and gvura, so the Torah has to be given to them. But for you that don't have this problem, so we have over here a Geschmacke answer from Chassidus. Starting, again, as I said, Tzemach Tzedek and Marash are saying this word, that it was not an accusation. It wasn't saying you failed, you were wrong in what you did by Avraham. They did nothing wrong. They were okay with eating meat and milk. They could do it. They could combine opposite forces. They have bittul to Elokus. They have gilui Elokus. Wasn't a problem. It wasn't the problem for them. But that's precisely what Hashem is saying to them. The Torah that we're talking about says, it's talking to people that cannot combine these opposite forces. And Mela, if you guys could do it, Torah doesn't go to you. It goes to the people that have this challenge of putting together basar and challah. A little more oasis of Hasbara in the Maimer of the Rebbe Rashab. It's in the Hemshech of Samach Vav. They suffers over there. That it call in Ateda levared birurim. We know that every mitzvah is mevader something in the world. If it's a mitzvah say, then you're actually elevating it. But through leisa say, you're also elevating it. From the very fact that Torah says, stay away. This kind of behavior is not good for a yid. That is actually poil a birur in the Yenim Indian. Since for them is no isser, as we said before, because they could combine the two things. It has to be to the Yidin that the isser is applicable. So what he's taking is the word of the Reb Marash, which said, but even Pashut, that the Torah says the Pasuk and the Malachim don't have this problem, so then it's not for them. What the Rebbe Rashab is saying, Teda mitzvah is all about being mevared bidurim, that you have to learn the halachas and describe the cases that are usher in order to be mevared. But if this is not shaykh to the Malachim, because for them it's not usher, so it's not going to be poil any bidur because they don't have this issue. But mainly it's not for them. So Ad Kan Rabbi Sai is the pasha to answer to understand the medrash from Chassidus, that they were not being accused. Abish was telling them a fact. Basar b'chalav is not an issue for you people, as you yourself demonstrated when you were by Avraham Avinu's kitchen. And if it's not for you, then the Torah is not for you, because Torah says about the Isser, and it's not for you. Why is it not for them? Because Basar b'chalav means combining Chesed and Gvura, which is not able to be done lamata, and Malachim could do it. Ad Kan is this answer. Now, Rabbi Say, I want to go over to our last answer, a vort of the Alter Rebbe, but it's a tifa vort, and we need to make a few hagdamas. We have to understand better.
What question are we answering?
The question, on the one hand, the Medrash is saying that Hashem has a taina to the Malachim, that they ate basar b'chalav. At the same time, Avraham ran a kosher kitchen, and it seems that he would serve them only what they're allowed to eat. So there's got to be something that there's a taina against them. At the same time, they wouldn't have done something wrong. So our first answer was from Chassidus, that saying that they were not being accused by the Eibishter. It was just saying that this mitzvah is not for you, because they could combine the opposite powers. So although Avraham, they Taka ate basar b'chalav, and he served them basar b'chalav, because they're allowed to eat basar b'chalav, because they could combine chesed and gvura, but the Eivish is telling them, but if that's the case, Torah is not written out for you. But let's move on to the next answer. So first we have to see a few halachas regarding the separation between milk and meat. Like we mentioned before, they may have the dinner of waiting an hour in between, washing hands. Let's see it inside over here. Halacha of Shulchan Aruch Siman Peites, which when you learn smicha, or if you're already started learning smicha, this is the beginning of learning basar v'chalav. Doctor in Shulchan Aruch, achal basar, if you ate flesh, lo yechol gvina achrav, ad sheyasher sheisha, you have to wait 6 hours after eating meat. And even if you waited 6 hours, if you have meat in your mouth, even after 6 hours, there was a piece of meat stuck between your teeth, it's a problem, you have to remove it. However, if you ate cheese, mutter lechol achrav basar miyad. Here, the rabbis say what the plain out Shulchan Aruch says, the Mechaber. After milchiks, you can eat flesh immediately. Miyad. There's one condition. Make sure your hands are clean. There's no fats. There's no trace of the cheese. And you should rinse out your mouth. That's the plain Shulchan Aruch Rabbi say. After flesh 6 hours. After milchiks, as long as you're clean, you can move along. That's the plain Shulchan Aruch. However, the Shach brings down a Zoyar, and this is how we are noying the letter of the Rebbe about this. Zoyar says, to Ashkechan we find the Choman the Achil HaMechla Dischabekachada. Whoever eats this food, it's talking about milchiks and fleishiks together, Oy B'Shaitachada, Oy B'Sudachada, within 1 hour or with one Suda, then for 40 days, there's not a good sign. Gadya Mekalsa, it's a klipa that surrounds him by these people, right? So it causes a not good effect, says the Zohar. But the wording of the Zohar is B'Shaita Chada, in 1 hour. Right? 1 hour. So from here we take the minhag, the halacha, that we wait a full hour because we don't want milchiks and fleishiks to be eaten within 1 hour. So even though al pi din stam of the Shulchan Aruch, fleishiks may be eaten immediately after milchiks, as long as you're clean, we are noying, and it's brought down this in the poskim, the 1 hour separation, because you don't want to ever eat these two kinds of foods within 1 hour. And Rabbi said, because Shavuos is coming up, it's important to bring out what the Shalah writes about this regarding Shavuos. Ha'olam noyegin lechol b'chag HaShavuos ma'chol eichalav ve'achkach oichlin basar l'kayim v'samachta. That's a mistake to say v'samachta b'chagecha. Right? You have to have flesh in order to mekayim the mitzvah of simcha. So even though it's gevaldik to have a milchik meal and have kol minei foods made out of milchiks, but we have to remember there's a mitzvah of simcha, and that is performed by eating flesh. In simcha b'lei basar. Says the Shalom, as tzarich ledaktek liskadesh b'frat b'yem kodesh kazeh shemanta yisenu, because on Shavuos we will be eating both foods. We will be having milchiks, as the minhag is, and we will be eating fleishiks as the halacha requires. It's the mitzvah of simcha. We must be careful, as is kinuach v'adocha heitev, to rinse and wash out our mouths properly. Ulahafsik b'virchas hamozein, to bench, because like you said, we can't have the meal, we can't have two foods within one meal. Ulahamtin shah, and wait an hour. These two inyanim are based on what the Zohar said, but there shouldn't be b'shaita chada and shouldn't be b'sudas chada. Right? The basic halacha already mentions the Indian of not having the one suda, you have to bench in between. But the vort of 1 hour is like we said before from the Zohar. The akach yufres mapa cheres, you have to put a naya tishtach, a different tablecloth, shulchan ubas, put up a table with flesh. So therefore on Shavuos, we have to eat both. Actually, one of the reasons why we eat milchiks on Shavuos is brought down because the Yidden got a new mitzvah of separating meat and milk. They wanted to demonstrate it by actually eating milchiks. Some fleishiks. That's one of the reasons brought down. Not that they didn't have flesh that year, but rather they wanted to demonstrate how they're keeping this mitzvah, so they had milchiks and fleishiks. And that's what we have to do on Shavuos. There's a minute to eat milchiks, but there's a halacha you have to have fleishiks, and therefore you have to eat both. But we have to be very careful and be very on top of it that we are mafsik hativ, make a proper separation, a full hour with rinsing your mouth and benching in between, changing the tablecloth as the halacha requires. Yes.
But after you bench, when you're going to be eating the fleshik meal, do you have to wash again?
The pashtus, the main su'udah is supposed to be the fleshiks. That's the main su'udah. That's the time you've been makayim the mitzvah simchas yom tiv. That's the su'udah. Maybe tomorrow we'll discuss a different inyanim of what's the proper way to have the two meals, and from the Ramah and Shulchan Aruch that you should have learned yesterday, it sounds like you're supposed to wash twice. You're supposed to have a milchik meal with milchik bread, and have a fleshik meal with fleshik bread, and then you have a shtei alechem, which is a zecher for the shtei alechem that was brought on Shavuos. I don't think most people are knowing that way, and I don't think that's the minhag Chabad. I believe there's what's brought down from the Rebbeim, what they would have milchiks without washing, and then they would wash later. As far as I recall, we should look it up again to be 100% sure. I'm going to go back to over here to what we're discussing. So,
could you look it up for me then? Now.
Okay, let's go back to what we're over here discussing. The din is that after fleishiks you must wait 6 hours. After milchiks, it's not a problem. You can right away continue. Okay. If that's the case, Rabbi Say, I want to go back over here based on the reason of the halacha. Based on the reason of the halacha, why would there be a difference which one you eat first? Yeah, have you understand what's going on? My question over here. We explained from the Shalom, the Rikanti, that you don't mix meat and milk because one is Gvura, one is Chesed, they don't get along. If that's the case, Lamay Nafkamina, which one do you eat first? If there's a problem of joining these two and inyanim together, who cares which one is first? You should never have meat and milk together in one item or another. Why is this one demanding a 6-hour separation, and the other one is demanding no separation? All right, can I get some thumbs up if you're following my question? Daniel, Donnie, do I have you with me? If mixing, there you go, yeah? If mixing meat and milk is a problem of kilayim, of chesed and gvura that clash, what's the difference which one happens first? So here Rabbi Say, I'm going to introduce to you din in Gemara Pesachim, brought down also in Baxhalav, and it's actually Oiska Haltin according to Heintige science. Not that that's the base, but it's interesting, and that's going to explain everything over here. The din in the Gemara in Pesachim is like this. Over here, let's put up the Gemara. Over here, Masechet Pesachim. Itmar, Mengalarint. When you have two hot items, you have kosher flesh, which is hot, and you have treife flesh that is hot. They're warmed up, they're steaming, they're two shtiklach fatty meat. One is kosher, one is not kosher, and they touch each other. Everybody agrees it's usher because hot things that are warm and hot, they spread. They allow the taste to spread into each other. When these two hot items touch each other, the ganze zach is usher. You can't just peel off the external layer. The ganze zach is usher because the heat causes the taste to spread. You have a frozen piece of meat that's kosher, and you have a frozen piece of meat that's treif, and they touch each other. Right? There's no issue over here. The taste is not passing on to each other. Right? You can discuss if you should peel off the outer layer, but there's no issue of the taste penetrating the other one because it's frozen ice. When things are cold, they don't spread. There's kibbutz. Kaltkite means that you hold yourself within, you don't spread outwards. These are the opposite teva of cham and tzainin, cold and hot. Hot makes you spread, tzainin makes you congeal, become ice, become reserved within yourself. So if they're both cold, it's not mispashim. What is the deal when cham will say tzainin and tzainin will say cham? One is hot, one is cold. You have a frozen piece of meat that is kosher, and it touched the steaming hot flesh that is usher. Or the other way around, the kasha was hot and the treif was cold. What do? We have machlekes. Rav Amar Ilah Gavar, Shmuel Amar Tatar Gavar. It depends which one's on top, right? There's a machlekes here, but it depends which one's on top. Shmuel says Tatar Gavar, that's the halacha. Rav says Ilah Gavar, the one that's on top is what's strong. What does that mean? Which is like this: if the bottom one is hot, so Shmuel would say, let's say the kosher is on the bottom. The kosher is on the bottom. And the treif is on top. Okay? If the bottom one is hot, then the power of heat, of hispashtus, is going to overpower. There's a fight between the cold and the hot. The hot wants to be mispashit. The cold says, I don't allow hispashtus. Who's going to win in this fight? Will there be hispashtus of the taste or not? It depends who's on the bottom. If the bottom one is the hispashtus temperature, then it's going to win. It's going to be mispashit, and it's going to have a din of hot and hot. It'll be usher. If the bottom one is the cold one, then the non-mispashtus power will prevail, and it won't be usher. That's according to Shmuel. Rav says no. It's about the top. If the top is the hot, then the hispashtus power will win. If the top is the cold, then the non-hispashtus will win, and it'll be like cold and cold. If allow me to show you an experiment that was sent to me that demonstrates this nakuda. All right, watch this, chavre. This is science, but it's halacha is tato gavar and azoy shtimtis. Okay. Gotta figure out.
Can you share audio?
Yeah, give me a second. The audio is actually. I'm not gonna put the audio. I'm not going to put the audio, just watch this, okay? I guess the audio is working, but okay, what you see over here is you have a cup, cold water, a cup of hot water, and he's going to put some food coloring inside. So far, what do you see here, Rabbi Sai? The hot was on bottom, and the cold was on top. Because Tata Govar, the bottom, the power of his spashtus, wins the fight, and it goes into, it spreads, the whole thing spreads. In the oasis of science, the word is that hot water is softer, is less dense, as he calls it here. It's so therefore it allows. I'm using terms of halacha, allows you spashtus, because it's less condensed. It's more spread out. It's more soft, so it allows his spashtus. But I don't want you to use scientific words. I want you to hear the halachic words. The koyach of his spashtus is what chamin represents. Hot water is the power of his spashtus spread. When you put cold water on top of hot water, who's going to win? The koyach of hispashtus, or the koyach of kivutz. So the science shows, and this is the halacha, right? Because that's the halacha, so we can see it in science also, that the hot water, the heat, the power of hispashtus overrides. Now watch the way that works the other way around. Givaldik. Okay, so here you see that when it was the other way around, the cold was on the bottom, which is the power of heder ispashtus, not to allow ispashtus, not to spread. In Lashon HaKodesh, it's called kivutz. Then if that's on the bottom, then the taka doesn't spread. What do you say about that, Chevra? You see what's going on here? A gavaldik demonstration of a halacha in the Gemara. Huh? Whoever's speaking is getting choppy, so I can't hear. But the word is tatar govar.
The halacha
is like Shmuel. The tatar govar. Now the boy side.
Tatar coat.
Kind of Sharon. Say again.
The demonstration shows that it depends if it's hot or cold.
Right, and it's not a stira. It's the same word. Hot, in terms of halacha, is the koyach haispashtus. Right? If it's koyach haispashtus, it means that it's less dense. It weighs less. And cold, it's more dense, means that it's heder koyach haispashtus. Right? B'meila, if the
hot or cold.
Good. So the halacha is using different oisius, but you think about it, it's the same. It'll always be the same. There'll be no nafkamina. There'll be no nafkamina. In halacha, the terms are tator gavar. Who is going to win the war between ispashtus and not ispashtus? The winner will always be whoever's on bottom. Why? It's because of the weight, which is related to gravity. This is out the oisius from science. But in halacha, it's the metzias that's going to happen. Whoever's on the bottom, whichever power is on the bottom, the power of ispashtus versus the power of heder ispashtus, whoever's in the bottom will win. That's trachten but we're running out of time. But this is the nekuda. Think about the oisius of ispashtus, the milchama between ispashtus against the power of heder ispashtus. Whoever's on the bottom will win. Like them, Rabbi side, we can go back and understand why basar b'chalav is different between which one you eat first. We know that chesed and gvura don't get along. When you do put them near each other, who should always be the stronger one? So we have a klal, le'olam yeheh yamin mekareves v'smel deicha. Whenever you have a combination of chesed and gvura, muss sein as the chesed soll sein starker wie die gvura. You can never allow that it should be more gvura than chesed. Everyone understands this is in chinuch, this is in Yiddishkeit. This is the way it has to be. Chesed has to be yamin mekareves comes first, and then bemedar, vumedar, and so then there's ein small deicha. But they always want that the overpowering power should be chesed. Kommt euch das wieder bei sich. Hört zu, a gewaltige Wort, der alte Rebbe will see inside in a second. If you eat milchiks first, Rabbi say, what's going to be at the bottom of your stomach? Chesed sigvura. Okay, you're all on mute, but it's chesed, right? You ate milchiks first, your chesed's on the bottom. A moment later, you made a michya, you made a bein nefashis, and you eat flesh. Hast da reingelegt gvura in the guf. Gvura's on top. It's take chesed and gvura, but who's going to win? Tato govar, Rabbi say. The bottom power will always win. The bottom power will win, but zayin chesed even gvura. Oh, it's good. We can manage. It's a combination of chesed and gvura, but if chesed's on top, tato govar. If chesed's on bottom, then he's the winning power, then he can win. Then it's okay. If, however, you eat fleishiks first, Rabbi say, the bottom comes in first is gvura. And then you're going to put milchik, you have to wait 6 hours. It's got to get out of your system. My boss? Because if you eat flesh first, then you put gvura down first. The tato, the bottom power is going to be gvura. If you're going to put chesed on top, then what? Then what's going to happen? The gvura is going to overpower chesed. And that's no good. That we can't allow. That's why halacha says, if you ate fleishiks first, You got to wait 6 hours. You got to have a complete, empty out your system before you start with chesed. With chesed, because if you're going to eat chesed now, it's going to be good overpowering chesed, and that's a catastrophe. That's no good. If, however, you eat milchiks first, can't say it's the fleishik nachtem. Rabbi Isa came Moshe Rabbeinu up Lamailo, and he's dealing with the malachim. The malachim say, "Teira darf bleiben bei uns." Ilo govar. They were arguing like Rav. They said, "Teira, who like this?" You have an argument between Bnei Yisrael that are in Elam Hazeh in a stunken a guf mit blut on zunike blut. Right how the lashon go over there goes. They're lamata, and we're lamaila. Say the malachim, ilo govar. You have to give us the Teira. Sagt the Eibishter zu say, halti lo govar. If you hold the law govar, then when you went to Avraham Avinu, you know what you should have eaten first? You should have eaten the flesh first. Because if you hold the law govar, then when you went to Avraham Avinu, you ate milchiks first, as the pasuk says, vayikach chema v'cholav, and then uben abakar. So the milchiks was served first. You ate milchiks first, as the Eibishter to the malachim. And then you ate flesh, which flesh is on top. Chesed on the bottom, gvura on top. You now malachim are arguing ilo govar. If you did ilo govar, then you did a kefer lechazach. You made that gvura should overpower chesed. If you hold ilo govar, so the flesh is on top of the milk in your stomach, right? And you hold ilo govar, so gvura overpowers chesed, and that's no good. Elamai, the fact that you ate milchiks first and then you ate fleishiks by Avraham, because you yourself are maskim that was tata govar, and therefore chesed could be first, and it's goiver over the gvura, and you mean mekaremes, it's going to be a skabers chesed over gvura. If you yourself ate chesed first and then fleish by Avraham, has to be reason that you hold tata govar. So who should get the Torah? Tata or Ilah? It's the charayas tata govar. So l'taimeich, from your behavior, the chvavizin, that the Torah deserves to be lamata by the tata. Let me show it to you in the lashon of the Alter Rebbe here. Number 17, and with this we'll conclude. Shamaiti oimrim b'shem edmur ba'al shulchan aruch va'atanya. This is what I said. The tata govar. Why does it we see that the halacha is that tata govar? We see that the Yidden got the Torah, the Charayi, the Torah gover. Pirish, but they didn't have Tilim. Oh, the Mishal Kal Pambe is Saluches. Over Malachi Ashores, Valay Esmal over Alavachulu. Amale Akarish Baruch of Chulu. Valayatem Kshiratem Itzlavra, Machatem Basa Bachala, Shnama Mika Chema Bachala, when a Baka should also Bachulu. So that's the quote of the Medrash. What's the problem? That he bought the achel cholav mutter lechol. You're allowed to, like some of the Mefarshim answered, and some of the Bachim mentioned. That what's the problem with what the Malachim did? Why is the Eibishter accusing them? They had milchiks and then fleshing, which according to the simple Shulchan Aruch, you're allowed to. Over kan ksiv koidem chema v'cholav v'achach uben avakar shirasa. Or mashma the chema v'chol lokach take it. First they ate the butter and the milk. That he ain't tzarech hasiyah. That doesn't take too long to prepare. Aval ben abakar tzarech hasiyah v'tikun kumash kasev Rashi sham kama shetikin amtiv kamayu. Rashi brings down that as soon as something was ready, he right away put it down the table to be served. So the milk, which was easy to prepare, was brought at the beginning of the meal, beginning of the time that the malachim were with him, and later he shechted and prepared the animal. Then he brought it to them. So what's the problem? What's up? The Eibishter complaining and accusing the malachim with. V'gam and a tzveita kasha. Avraham Avinu olav shalom shikim kol hatera. V'valei nasan lev lefnei basa b'cholav. How can Avraham, that runs a kosher kitchen, serve them both meat and milk? But Tina Tzuzal comes to answer the Alter Rebbe. And after we learned the Tama mitzvah of the Shalom and the dinim of Tata Gavar, we'll appreciate every word the Alter Rebbe says here. The Tam Isur Basa b'cholav is ki basa b'chinas dinu gvura. The cholav b'chinas chesed v'rachmim. V'asur la'arvam. V'alkein k'sha'oichlim koidem cholav v'achach basar tata gavar u'miskaber chesed aladin u'muter. What the Alter is saying here, that the etzem, gvura, and chesed getting together is not a problem as long as who's the winner, who's the overpowering koyach if it's chesed. Mash'enken lahepech osel lahag medina lachesed. And this is how the Alter Rebbe is different than the Biurim we had before from the Tzemach Tzedek and Rebbe Marash. There they were saying Malachim could combine the two in Yanim, and people cannot. And that's why Torah has to be given to people. Here the Alter Rebbe is saying the combination itself could be okay if Chesed is stronger. But it's not okay if Gura is stronger. V'zeu im Yisrael kibus ha-Torah halach shetzar gavar. If the Yidden got the Torah, that shows that the Torah gavar. Aval im ha-Malachim ay mekabel ma'isai haya halach leipach di lo gavar. If the Torah would have ended up by the Malachim, would show that he lo gavar. V'ya asur lechel chalav kein basar. If the winners would have been the Malachim, then that would demonstrate law gavar, and then the halach would be the other way around, that you can't eat challah first before basar, because ilah gavar, it would make the basar, the gvura, overpowering. If you have received the Torah, and that means you're saying ilah gavar, if you want to say that we should keep the Torah, that means you're saying Ilah Gavar. If you're saying Ilah Gavar, then retroactively what you did by Avraham was the Yisra Basar B'Chalab. Ela Bazesha Achaltem Chalab Koydem Basar, from the fact that you Chavra ate Chalab before Basar, Gilisem Daitchem Shetata Gavar, Vatei Nusum Yisrael. Hati Alein Ba'avinsim that you hold Tata Gavar, and therefore the Torah has to be given to the Yidden. So Rabbi say, this is a Geshmak Vort, how the whole Vort of Matan Torah we know is Tata Gavar, they didn't have Did it with Tachtoinim, and this medrash brings it out that in Kufa was the discussion between Moshe, the Eibishter, and the Malachim, and I will send out the recording and the Mara Mekayim so you can chazer it and Merklar in them. It's a Geshmak Indian and can chazer in Alein and can see bechazin to Andre.